Rise of Kingdoms game review. Well, we felt like we had to do this because when you look at any of the Rise of Kingdoms ad, none of them has any gameplay in it and they talk about things that has nothing to do with Rise of Kingdoms. So, because we have been playing the game almost for 3 years now and we have 3 different accounts as well. One of them high spender, one of them low spender and the other one is complete free to play. So we thought we can contribute and show some of the actual gameplay and talk about Rise of Kingdoms as a game and what we enjoy, what we don't, and kind of give the potential new player base a bit of a taste of the game and what to expect from Rise of Kingdoms in 2022 if you start playing now, I mean. Now, whilst you have some gameplay in the background, I will tell you 2 different stories and these stories will kind of summarize the review of Rise of Kingdoms in 2022. Now, the first one is going to be a little controversial because it involves God and unattractive people, but then we'll still go for it. So one day God took some clay and decided to make a beautiful human woman, and that's the picture you can see on the screen. And then God kind of looked at the angels and said, well, let's see if you can create the same. So the angels kind of tried to play with the clay and tried to recreate what God did, and then the outcome is what you can see on the screen now. Now, in my eyes, the first creation that God made is kind of similar to Age of Empires, and what the angels created is Rise of Kingdoms. But then on the other hand, if I'm comparing Rise of Kingdoms with other similar mobile games, then Rise of Kingdoms is what God created and the other games are an attempt by the angels to recreate that. Now, one thing that I should probably make clear at this stage, both of the pictures that I used in the video earlier both belongs to Rebel Wilson, an Aussie actress, so it's not like I'm comparing 2 people and making kind of one of them sad. So morally not, ethically not as wrong as you think. It's still wrong but not as wrong. Now, moving on to the second story. So 2 friends took a flight, let's say from Sydney to New York, and then the first friend was loaded, so he flew business class, I mean first class, I don't know the difference, I don't get to fly them because I get to fly economy. And then if you're talking about a 15-20 hour flight in economy, it's not as entertaining as being in business class, right? I mean, both of you guys are gonna end up in the same destination. You kind of had the same flight, but really you didn't. And that's kind of the story of a free-to-play and spenders in Rise of Kingdoms. So yes, in a way you're kind of playing the same game, but you're really not playing the same game. Now, between the 2 stories, if I lost you already, well, then you can't hear me anymore, but if I haven't, then let's go into the details a little bit more. So I kind of made a big claim there, said that Rise of Kingdoms is way above any other game in the same genre. Now, why? What makes me say that? Well, it's the free open field movement. So Rise of Kingdoms is the only game out there in mobile where you have full control of your troops in the battle. So you can join battles and leave battles whenever you want, and then during battle you can walk away for a second, tap again and walk away and all those things, and you can kind of move your troops around the whole screen like a true strategy game, open field fighting and real time. Whereas in most other games you don't have control over your marches. You send them, they go and fight somewhere, you see a cutscene and you get a report, but it's not real time, and that's what's unique about Rise of Kingdoms. So that's what makes Rise of Kingdoms one of the best mobile games out there. But then the second kind of story takes a big chunk of it away, because yes, I mean, doesn't matter what have you heard about Rise of Kingdoms, I have played this game enough to know that this is not a free to play friendly game, because you need grinding, true, and free to play can kind of grind, but no matter how much you grind, you can't ever get to the level of a spender because the skill factor in this game is pretty low. There are some skill factors, but it's pretty low. It's more around strategy, coordinating, being active, grinding and spending. Saying that, if you are a free-to-play player, I'm not saying you can't have fun in the game. You can definitely have fun. You just need to set your expectations right, where you can't be competitive and you can't compare yourself with spenders in terms of what they get in game, because it's not a free to play versus a whale game. This is where there will be free to play and whales in each of the teams that are fighting. So you can enjoy the game as a team player, but then you can't enjoy the game as a free to play if winning, and if personally winning is more important to you than winning as a team. Now, the other thing that I have to mention about Rise of Kingdoms is that the graphics is extremely good, the music is pretty good, and the game is well taken care of by the developers. What I mean by that is there's regular updates, regular patch notes, and everything that makes sure that the game is running smooth. They added a PC version as well, which kind of tells us that the game is gonna be here for a while. So is it kind of too late for you to join Rise of Kingdoms as a free-to-play? Are you scared to join Rise of Kingdoms? Well, my advice on the first one would be no, definitely not too late, because the way Rise of Kingdom fighting matchmaking is done, that way is where newer players are grouped together. So when you're fighting, you're not gonna be fighting with end game players, you're gonna be fighting with players who has similar level of experience and similar level of accounts, and it's still pretty fun to play. Now, when it comes to the free to play kind of question, now as I mentioned, I have a high spender account, a low spender account, and then a free to play account. I have the most fun in my low spender account, because that's where you are not too obligated, you can enjoy most of the stuff. So if you have a budget of, say, $5 a month even, you can enjoy the game very much. But if you're talking about spending $0 in the game, then you gotta be either really active with multiple farm accounts to support your main account, and you gotta be extremely active, and you gotta forget about the competitive events. You can still have fun, but you just can't be a single solo winner. You can win as a team. So overall, I would still probably say that you shouldn't be kind of looking at spending too much on mobile games. But then if you're looking for a strategy game, there's no completely free to play strategy game out there. Every single game in this genre is gonna cost you a little bit to play, otherwise you have the same kind of less fun life playing whichever one that you're paying. And out of all the games in question, Rise of Kingdoms is kind of average, so it doesn't require the most amount of spending, it doesn't require the least amount either, so it's somewhere around the middle of the pack. But when it comes to the gameplay, I have to say, and I have tried other games, I have to say this is one of the best. So if you don't actually have the time to play proper free-to-play skill-based games such as Age of Empires on your PC, and you want a mobile alternative, then Rise of Kingdoms probably comes the closest. And yes, you can have fun not spending anything versus actually having to buy the game of Age of Empires for $15 or so on Steam. Now, final notes from myself, I mean I have been playing it for 3 years and I'm still playing. Even if I wasn't making videos about it, I would still be playing it. So you kind of can guess that this game is good, this is entertaining regardless of all the jokes and everything that I made. But there's a little truth behind all the jokes, so everything that I kind of said, there's some truth to most of it as well. Now, last sort of notes from me, I guess this is where I'm kind of wrapping up the video. So I do cover both of the games that I talked about in this video in depth. So Rise of Kingdoms is covered on this channel. I also have a second channel where we started covering Age of Empires, so that I can cover everything when it comes to strategy, whether you're a mobile gamer or a PC gamer. So please consider subscribing to both, as long as you're interested in mobile gaming and PC gaming, and especially strategy gaming, massive multiplayer strategy gaming, I should say.